This is Ben from Outdoor Hub. Today we have Marty Daniel from Daniel Defense. Marty, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Ben, for having us on.
Just over a week ago, we saw one of the deadliest attacks in U.S. history. And unsurprisingly, within the week following, we saw a few pieces of legislation that the left was pushing, specifically calls for a new assault weapons ban and adds to people on the terror watch list not being allowed to purchase guns. But we also saw retailers making moves to limit viewability for modern sporting rifles within their stores, most notably Academy Sports. And you guys had some big news that came out about Academy Sports, and we were hoping that you might be able to tell us a little bit about what drove your decision to pull distribution from them.
Absolutely. Yeah. So first of all, I want to say Academy is a great company, a good customer. We just absolutely disagree with their policy here. And so we just had to stand against it. And that is, they decided to pull all MSRs and anything that looked like an MSR off the shelf and off their website. This just sends a clear message, the wrong message to the anti-Second Amendment folks who hate the fact that we are able to own firearms, that says it's okay, go ban a gun because of its looks, and we'll just pull them off the shelf and it'll be fine. So it's just a wrong message to be sent to the public and to our politicians.
Do you think it'll affect your bottom line at all, positively or negatively? I know there's a ton of pro-Second Amendment folks out there that are applauding your move, but we'd love to hear what you think this might, what type of impact this will have on your business to stand up for what you believe in.
Ben, we've are a rapidly growing company. We're about as busy as we can be right now, and predicting to be that way through the election because of the political conversations that happen. And so today we won't be affected. The big effect for us at losing Academy as a customer would be, for every up cycle, there's a down cycle, right? So when that down cycle shows up, we'll certainly miss their business and wish we had their business. We absolutely are concerned about it, but at the same time, we just feel like we're doing the right thing.
So as a manufacturer, there's no obviously shortage of laws that dictate how you can do business, where you can distribute, and how you can sell to consumers either direct or through distributors. But there's also no shortage of laws that apply to the end consumer who goes out there to buy through background checks and whatever process, within their specific state that they have, pistol sales, rifle sales. Do you think we need better enforcement of the laws that we have, or do you think that, the push for increased legislation would actually help instances like we saw in Orlando?
Well, we certainly need to enforce the laws we have, because that hasn't been done. And I feel like what we need is new leadership in our country. President Obama and Hillary Clinton's policies are allowing terrorists into the country. They're not protecting our citizens. They're not addressing the mental stability issues. There's just so many issues that are not being addressed, and they're policy driven, just like this horrible this terrorist who did this horrible act and killed these great American citizens. He's a terrorist, and he absolutely wants us not to have guns, and just as they do. And what we need is we need better policies that doesn't allow terrorists to come into our country. This very same week that this terrible event happened, more terrorists were allowed to come into our country. They're just letting anybody in who wants to come in, and they're not protecting our people.
And I think accountability is one of those things that there's a stark difference between, the folks on the right and the folks on the left. And Hillary Clinton's view is that she thinks accountability needs to be placed on the manufacturer themselves, with calls for liability lawsuits to be opened up against manufacturers. Whereas she's not willing to place blame on the person who actually commits the crime. So as a manufacturer and as someone who could be adversely affected by Hillary Clinton's presidency, what is your view on liability against manufacturers versus the criminal themselves, or the terrorist, or whoever it may be that goes out and commits these heinous acts?
Well, this is ridiculous legislation. It's just another example of how the anti-Second Amendment crowd just looks for any excuse to ban guns in any way they can, and it's absolutely ridiculous. There's no other industry that's held to this type of standard, and so we're confident that this will never pass. just because it doesn't make any sense. But that doesn't mean that the anti-Second Amendment people won't try to make it happen, because they want to take away all of our guns, and they'll use any method to try to get to that.
And we know that in terms of standing up for Second Amendment rights, the NRA is out there on behalf of the general citizenry. But your guys stand with Academy and what you're doing to really stand up for the values that your company has and the products that you're creating. Do you see fellow brands and manufacturers following suit and pulling distribution from retail stores that decide that the public opinion of a few is more important than what their customers want or what the real sentiment within the country is towards firearms?
Well, we certainly would applaud any other manufacturer who came along with us and joined us in this fight. It's really not our position to tell other people what to do. It's just our place to take our stance. As for me and for my company, we're going to stand up with the citizens of our country for their Second Amendment rights.
Unlikely event that there is another assault weapons ban, in the next presidency. Where would you guys see, or where would you see Daniel Defense 5 years from now? Daniel
Defense is still a very young company, but we've evolved very rapidly. We've been very deliberate in our actions to go gain the knowledge of how to build firearms, and we have attained almost all of that knowledge, and we are learning and still growing and still getting better. And yet, we have other products in the pipeline that we will be able to sell, assuming that such a thing as an assault weapons ban could ever happen. We'll have other products that we can sell, and that would probably push us toward that sooner. But we're prepared for whatever situation comes along.
So would the first pistol be 9mm or 45 ACP?
I can't. We have a process for determining that, but I can't deliberate on that right now.
I get it. So what would you say to someone who's uneducated within the firearm space, doesn't necessarily know anything about guns or has never even shot one, and supports an assault weapons ban? What kind of advice would you have, or what would you say to help sway them away from that?
I would say that if they're supporting an assault weapons ban, that they're saying the same thing that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are saying, that their policies are not protecting our people, that they're not protecting our citizens, that they hate the Second Amendment, and they want to take away all of our guns. And so that's the stance that they're, so if they think that there's some reasonable gun control, just understand that there's no reasonableness to the left who hates our Second Amendment, and they want to take away all of our guns.
Marty, there's been a lot of talk about presidential candidates today. Are you coming out and endorsing any one specific candidate?
Well, I haven't received a call from Mr. Trump yet for an endorsement, so maybe that will happen. But in all honesty, Mr. Trump will make an absolute great president, and he will make this country great again. And I say that for two reasons. A great CEO needs to be able to do two things. And he has certainly shown the ability to do these things, and these gifts and skills will make him a great president. Number one, a great CEO needs to be able to look around him and identify the constraints that is keeping his company from becoming a great company, and he certainly has shown that he has that gift. The second thing that a great CEO must be able to do is bring the people who he works with along behind dealing with those constraints and solving those issues, and negotiating what needs to be done to make his company great. And he has certainly done those things, and he will apply those same methods and gifts to our country. He has already done that in his narrative, talking about so many of the important things that are keeping our country from being great. And he'll be able to recognize the issues, and he'll be able to bring people along, absolutely make changes to make our country great again.
Thank you again for your time today, Marty. Everyone at OutdoorHub.com should go over to DanielDefense.com and check out all the great rifles that you guys have. Tons of things for you guys to check out. Definitely worth heading over and picking up your own. Marty, thank you again for your time today, and I hope to talk to you in the future about firearm-related issues, especially in this presidential year.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me.